On this episode, I tell you about the 12 must-know tips to learn Japanese in 6 months.
And I'm gonna help.
Hi, Andy.
Hey, Dan. By the way, when are the Tokyo Olympics?
I don't know, like 11 months?
Oh, that's plenty of time.
For what?
To become fluent in Japanese. I thought that's what we were here to talk about.
YouTube, what's up? This is Come2Japan, the channel that wants you to come to Japan. My name is Dan, and thanks again for joining me on another episode. Real quick, I want to talk about the goal of this channel, but the goal of this channel is to grow large enough to where we can support bringing someone to Japan through this channel, and we can do it. All we need is your likes, comments, and subscribes to grow this channel, get this video or any other video out there, and this channel will grow and we'll bring someone out to Japan through this channel. That's all we gotta do. I'm super excited to have a special guest, ToKini Andy, joining me on this episode to help break down these 12 must-know tips to learn Japanese. ToKini Andy is an amazing YouTuber living in Japan, just like me. He creates super detailed videos about the best ways to learn Japanese. Andy-san, 自己紹介お願いします。
Hey, Come to Japan, my name's Andy. I run the channel ToKini Andy, and I'm super excited to be here to talk to you guys about the 12 things that Dan and I found essential when we were learning to speak Japanese. So my motto over at ToKini Andy is that if you want to speak Japanese, which in other words just means you should use what you know right now, even if it's just hello, or please, or thank you. So anyway, I'm really excited to be here, and I hope that you find these tips super useful in your own journey to learn Japanese.
Links to his channel are below. His channel is well worth the subscribe. Sa, hajimeo. First, there are 2 myths associated with learning Japanese, or any language for that matter. 1, you need talent or you have to be a genius. I was never a straight A student, and I really didn't study that hard to learn Japanese. I strongly feel what I did with Japanese, anybody can do it. What I did have was determination, and that's one of the main things you need. You don't need talent, but you need determination.
I tried to learn Spanish like 10 times since I was 12 years old, and I gave up every time, so I definitely didn't have a talent for it.
2, there's a quote from someone way smarter than me. A drowning person can't learn to swim. In this case, it means if you rush to get to Japan because you think immersion is the only way you are going to learn, you might be setting yourself up for failure. You could get really overwhelmed, discouraged, and end up giving up.
In the beginning, when I just started to learn Japanese, even though I was living in Japan already, I still spent an hour almost every day talking to someone in Japanese on Skype, because it was way easier than trying to find people every single day to speak Japanese with, especially since I'm kind of an introvert.
There are a lot of things about living in Japan you need to know, and if you can't communicate, it's gonna be a struggle. But that's a completely different video. Alright, on to number 1 of 12 must-know tips to learn Japanese. Number 1, focus on Japanese that is relevant to you. What does that mean? It means focus on language around your interests. If you like baseball, learn Japanese words associated with baseball. There are so many die-hard Japanese baseball fans, and you could become friends with them pretty easy because you have similar interests. If you like soccer, same goes. Learn words about soccer in Japanese, or any sport at the Olympics. When you learn Japanese that is focused around your interests, it's gonna keep it fun, which is really important, and it's covered in a later step. If you try to learn Japanese that isn't relevant to your life, it's gonna be really difficult. For example, if you try to learn how a Japanese lawyer talks and you're not a lawyer, you're not gonna understand anything. Unless you're a lawyer and you want to be an international lawyer in Japan. You get my point. Andy, what do you have to say about number 1?
Well, I definitely don't want to be a lawyer, but that's not the point. Question, guys, what do you talk about with your friends? Why don't you tell us down in the comments? So just because you're learning a new language like Japanese does not mean that your interests are gonna change. So if you talk to your friends about movies and music and things like that, the first thing you should be learning about in Japanese is vocabulary about music and movies and stuff like that. Not vocabulary about fruits and vegetables and animals and the points on a compass. You get my point. Number 2, use Japanese as a tool to communicate from day one. On ToKini Andy, I emphasize constantly that if you want to speak Japanese, speak Japanese. In other words, even if you only know how to say hello, please, thank you, little things, little phrases, use them from day one. When I first started out, I would take cheap lessons on I almost every single day for like an hour, just so that I could use what I had learned that morning. So find ways that you can use what you've learned so far as much as possible so that you never forget it.
Also do this when I was just walking around town, on the bus, on the train, in the car, anywhere, in the shower. Number 3. When you first understand the message, you will start to unconsciously pick up Japanese. It's not about accumulating as many words as you can. Again, what the heck does that mean? It means from even day one, you should try to figure out the message before trying to understand each individual word. Because if you try to get every single word every single time, you're gonna get lost. You're gonna get passed by. Obviously, the words are important, but the message those words create is key. For example, Kajida, nigero! Fire! Run away! And if you see a large crowd of Japanese people running away from a huge fire, I hope you got the message.
Hopefully you'll never have to experience that particular situation. But anyway, body language is key here. You should pay close attention to the body language of people around you, and you should use it excessively yourself. Your conversations might not be super interesting at first, but at least you'll be communicating. And the more you get used to trying to find the general meaning in what people are saying, as opposed to trying to understand every single word that they say, the more you're gonna start understanding. And you'll find that you can communicate and understand people very well without knowing every single word.
Number 4, physical training of muscles in your face. Think about it as a workout to learn how to use new muscles in your face that you don't necessarily use in your native language. When you first start learning Japanese and your face hurts, you're doing it right. And a key thing is to try to copy facial expressions of native speakers. No, I'm not saying stare at people like a crazy person. Just be attentive to certain facial features you see quite often on TV, in regular conversation, in YouTube videos. I didn't realize it till much later, but I used to drill hiragana quite a bit in order to, remember it. But what I was actually doing is creating muscle memory in my face to learn how to pronounce, hiragana. And basically, if you can pronounce hiragana, you pretty much can say almost any word in Japanese.
There's not too much I can add to this one except to emphasize that the sounds are important, especially in Japanese. There's a lot of sounds that we have in English that just don't exist in Japanese. And a pitfall for new learners is that they use these sounds in Japanese words. And you'd be surprised how difficult it is for Japanese people to understand a lot of these words. For example, one of the most frustrating things that's ever happened to me when learning Japanese was about 2 years ago, and I had already been speaking Japanese for about 5 years. And for some reason, I kept trying to tell people about tunnels. There's lots of tunnels in Nagano, and for some reason, in like a short span of time, I had a bunch of conversations in Japanese about tunnels. So I kept saying to people, something something tanneru, tanneru. But the problem is that there's no sound in Japanese. So without fail, everyone kept giving me these blank stares and being like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, tanneru, tanneru. Like, that's a word, right? But it's not, because there is no ta. Tunnel in Japanese is tonneru, tonneru, to. They use the word to. So when I finally figured that out, I would say, tonneru. I still have a hard time saying it. And they'd always be like, tonneru ne. And those sounds are like almost indistinguishably different to my ears. Tanneru, tonneru. They're so close. I figured that, at least someone would be able to figure it out from context. But without fail, nobody knew what I was talking about until I corrected myself and said tonneru. Point being, sounds are very important in Japanese, especially not using certain sounds from your own native language. Number 5, try to maintain a positive attitude and be okay with ambiguity and mistakes. This one is really important to me. I find that a lot of people I know who are learning languages are terrified to make mistakes. They think that they have to speak perfect Japanese all the time. But the thing is you probably don't even speak perfect English. And Japanese people don't speak perfect Japanese. So why on earth would you be expected to speak perfect Japanese? That's just, unnecessary. When I first started learning Japanese, I would set myself a mistake goal every single day. So maybe it was like 20, 30, up to 50 mistakes in a day. And basically, if I didn't make that many mistakes or more, in my mind, I wasn't trying hard enough. Now, you don't need to be that hardcore about it, but the point is that not only are you going to make mistakes, it's totally okay to make them. Not to mention that if you do make a mistake and someone is nice enough to correct you, you will never make that mistake again.
Dude, I've been speaking Japanese for 15 years, and I make mistakes every single day. I've been speaking English for my entire life. I still screw that up. The point is, you gotta let some things go. And conversation is an input, output kind of thing. And if you're too nervous and scared to even say anything, conversation's not gonna go anywhere. So just try, when I would make mistakes, I would just kind of laugh it off, and sometimes it'd be really, really, really funny. Make mistakes, fumble along, and you'll get it. Positive attitude time! Number 6, think of Japanese as part of yourself, part of your personality, and part of your everyday life. Language is not a separate thing from you. How often do you use your own language? For most people, it's every single day. That should be the same with Japanese. Obviously, it's not your native language, but there's no reason why you can't identify with it, and again, make it part of your personality in every day. I use Japanese every single day for 15 years, and I can confidently say there's not a single day that I didn't. How, you may ask? How, you may ask? That's impossible. In the beginning, when I was in college, I would study for 2 hours every day. An hour in the morning, and then 1 more hour in the evening before I went to bed to review what I did in the morning. But life happens. I couldn't do that every single day. I had a part-time job. Maybe I had friends to hang out with or other stuff to study. On those days I was too busy. I still made sure to consciously devote at least 5 to 10 minutes of my brain to Japanese mode. I would turn my brain to Japanese mode and think in Japanese. That's covered in a later step, but some of the other things I would do is listen to Japanese music. Okay, sure. But when I was listening, I would really actively listen to words that I didn't know, or maybe words I did know that I wanted to pick up. I would also maybe try to learn 1 new kanji, because Japanese, there's thousands of kanji. Little steps to make it part of your everyday routine. It might seem hard at the beginning, but again, if you do it every single day like I've done, it becomes routine, it becomes second nature, it just becomes what you do, and it really helps enforce fluency, and it's the way to go.
This is important for learning anything new, I think. Just chipping away at it every single day, little by little, until you can do it. If possible, 8 hours every day would be great, but not everyone can do that. But I'll tell you what, 5 minutes is better than 0 minutes. And little by little, you'll get there. I will say though that if your goal is fluency within a short period of time, like 3 to 6 months, then you should be studying for at least a few hours every day. More importantly than studying though is using it every day. And yes, thinking of it as a part of you, even though it might not be it. My creed in life has always been fake it till you make it, because eventually, you will make it. And at some point, you'll realize you're not even thinking about it. You're just speaking. Thanks for having me on Come2Japan, Dan. The next part of this video is over on ToKini Andy, so Dan and I will be over there for the premiere. So why don't you come watch that with us right now?
Okay guys, if you've made it this far, then you're really interested in our message. And definitely, you have to check out the second part on ToKini Andy's channel. Links to that video are gonna be here, 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 here. They're everywhere. Alright guys, this is Come2Japan, the channel that wants you to come to Japan. My name is Dan, and we'll see you on Andy's channel.